Hey guys, I'm Samcrac, and it's been a little while since we followed up on our rebuild project, specifically the Ford Focus RS, which is just right back there in the distance. A lot of you guys have wrote in the comments section and direct messaged me wondering what in the heck is going on with that car, if I'll ever finish it, or did I just give up entirely on it? Well, the truth is, when I got it back from the body shop after a long wait, I ran into a few complications. I'll be explaining those to you in just a moment. Before we do, I'm going to show you some of the work I've been doing on the Porsche 911. Lately, I've been working to finish the body on this car. The rocker is the major area of concern. Let me show you what it looks like now. I'm sure the Bondo experts will tell me differently, but this is shaped very close to what it was like from the factory. When I started working on this, I was using a block sander. Imagine like this, just blocking flat on it, and it caused the center here to be really flat. I reached out to my buddy V-Tune, who was a body expert, and he told me, hold your block a little differently. So angle it up top, then angle it down at the bottom. This is not the block I was using, by the way. But anyway, I did that, and now it is rounded right here in the middle. This is shaped really nice. And one of the other things that is really funny, some of you guys caught, just a few people in the comment section, was that this right here is textured. The lower rocker part right here, it is not textured. And they said, well, hey, this is textured. How are you going to get this to be textured as well? Well, I found out about this stuff right here, texture coating. So basically, we'll just tape right where the line is. It's pretty obvious where the line is right here. The texture ends. We'll tape it. We will spray our texture coating after we primer this, and then we'll paint right over it, giving us the same textured look that the rest of the rocker has. So this should match perfectly. We've got to blend in a little bit higher though, so there's a little bit more sanding, a little bit more body work to go, especially with these little nicks right here. So if you remember last time when we were working on the brakes and suspension on this car, I told you that we're going to upgrade these really old, original factory shocks and springs with a coilover set all the way from Germany. The thing is, coming from Germany to the United States, it has to pass through customs, and customs was closed because of the government shutdown. Now things are reopened for business now. Hopefully that expedites the process, and we'll be able to just go and nail out our suspension and brake work. I don't anticipate that being more than a 4 or 5 hour job for all 4 corners, and then that will be done. So once our brakes and suspension are finished, we've got our cooling system that was completely replaced. That was the major mechanical damage on this car. That's been repaired, and then all we got to do is paint our bumpers. We've got the front bumper over there in the distance, got the rear bumper over there on the ground. Let me show you what I've been doing with these. This 911 has been a crash course in paint and body work since the car was so cheap and wanting to keep the cost low. I've opted to do all the paint work and body work myself. And here's our bumper painted in base coat lapis blue. Now the climate has not been optimal for painting, and unfortunately that caused me to have some problems right off the bat. Once I consulted with some professional guys, they told me, well, you're just using the wrong stuff for that cold of a climate. I changed the stuff, and we are looking much better. I have a few touch-ups in this area. This bumper is completely painted at this point, but we got to put on one more layer of base coat, making sure to fill in our areas that don't look good, like right here, and then we'll be ready for our clear coat. We're doing this all with the new style system I've been talking about. Let me show you exactly what it is and how it differs from your standard paint setup. Just going to touch on this briefly because I want to get over to the Focus RS, but here is our bargain tool shop air compressor. This is the standard one that a lot of people buy, 21 gallons. This is not nearly sufficient enough to be painting a car with. It runs out of air way too quickly. Right over here is what I've been using. This is the turbine system I've mentioned a few times. It's like the size of a toaster oven, and it puts out consistent pressure, and it works really well. But I'm going to talk more about it. I'm going to show exactly how it works in the upcoming video, and I'm going to go in depth on how simple this thing really is compared to a setup with a compressor, a gun, a moisture filter, a pressure regulator, all that other stuff. As far as our rear bumper goes, when I primed it, I found a few little areas that needed some spot fill. So I went ahead, spot filled those areas, and I'm gonna go sand it down one more time, then prime it, and then we will be painting both of these bumpers side by side, clearing them. That will be finished. Now let's go check out the Focus RS. Oh geez, I always forget about this thing when I come back here. This is the donor car. A lot of you guys probably remember it from the pizza car saga. Last time I was in it, I was just trying to get these ceiling airbags out. Here, can you see, like right there is one of them, and they're stuck in place. So I went to go get a tool, close the door. The keys are stuck in the ignition in this car. It's just one of the issues it came with because it was in a flood. Anyway, I must have just elbowed the door lock, which is in the corner here, but on the driver's side, and the keys are locked in the car. It is stuck in there. Look, there's a Corvette wheel in there. I just need to get in it. Any suggestions on how to break into my own car, let me know in the comments section below. I tried throwing a hammer at the window. You can see where I, did some nice stuff there. Anyway, all right. On to what everybody wants to know about, the Focus RS. I have the car back. It has been in my possession longer than I'd like to admit. And, oh boy, I hate seeing this nice of a car like this. But let me show you exactly what was done at the body shop, exactly where we are at right now, because this car could be rebuilt, refinished, I should say, in a fairly quick manner, as long as the parts are here. So, right on each side are the frame rails that were bent. That is why I sent this car to the body shop in the first place. And they went ahead, these were both at an angle, and they straightened them both back out. They were only damaged, you could see kind of where that wrinkle is, maybe 2 inches from the front. So they put on brand new brackets. These brackets on the end are brand new, and they just straighten the rails out, and everything really lines up here. I'm holding this hood really well. If you look, obviously this isn't pushed into a core support or anything, so that will actually push this bumper or this hood up a little bit, and you'll see, I mean, the lines were perfect when I measured this thing at the body shop. The bumper fit really well and everything. The problem is when I got this car back, it didn't work. I didn't even think about this till just now, but there's probably a good amount of you guys that don't realize I even own a Salvage Focus RS, so let me give you a quick timeline on it. Bought this car from the salvage auction, immediately got to work disassembling all the damaged stuff on it and finding out what was causing it not to run nor drive. It was delivered pretty much dead. Some of the electronics were working, but it would not even start up from the salvage auction. I found a major oil leak, and then I found that there were just some simple connectors that were undone, probably to prohibit it from starting so that it didn't run dry and then burn up the engine. Anyway, fixed the oil leak and got it running and driving. At that point, I then sent it over to the body shop to fix the frame in the front. 2.5 months later, we finished an Audi RS7 rebuild. We halfway finished the Audi R8 rebuild. I got this car back halfway in between the Audi R8 rebuild. Now, what's really annoying is when you start work on a car and then you don't work on it for several months and go back to work on it, you lose a lot of momentum, you forget where a lot of stuff went. So it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge putting this back together, but it's pretty similar to my Fiesta, which I've worked on extensively. I think we shouldn't have too much of an issue. Now, when I say I got it back from the body shop, and I was planning on doing another rebuild video almost immediately, what happened is that when I'd opened the door to this car, you see like all the electronics pop up and everything, they were all wigging out. Stuff was not working properly. There was an electrical failure, and immediately I figured it had to be a ground wire. All right, I'm propping this up using my shoulder, but let me show you real quick. There's 2 cables connected to this frame rail. Those are our ground wires. When I got it back from the body shop, only the left one right here was connected. Now, mind you, remember, I didn't have this car for several months, so I didn't remember what ground wires were hooked up where. But I called up the body shop and said, did you disassemble or take off any ground wires? Because I didn't see any that were obvious in this bundle of wires, and I didn't know, why the car wasn't starting up, why it wasn't working properly. And they insisted that they didn't touch any ground wires or anything like that. And it's not like I was convicting them. I was just like, hey, I need to get this thing started. And so we couldn't figure it out. I ended up calling up the guy, the rebuilder guy, who rebuilt a flooded Focus RS. So if anybody knows about electronics on a Focus RS, it's definitely him. We troubleshooted everything, but the big question that he asked up front was, hey, is it a ground wire? And I'm like, no, they insist it's not a ground wire. Well, the entire time it was that single ground wire. They had wrapped it up and they had really hidden it, tucked it in underneath a bunch of stuff here in the engine bay to where I didn't even see it. This killed like an entire week at least diagnosing the stupidest, simplest thing. But hey, that sort of stuff does happen when you're rebuilding cars, whether you like it or not. There's not a lot of stuff left to finish this car. We've got a reassembly of the rear end here, which I'm pretty certain I'm just gonna end up ordering a new rear bumper. Over here, we've got to replace this wheel. Yes, you could probably get this refinished, but I found a really good deal on an OEM wheel that was in perfect condition, so I just ordered a new one. When we come inside the interior here, there's only one seatbelt that locked up, and that is the driver's side seatbelt. I've already had that completely repaired and it is ready to be installed. That should take no time. We've only got one airbag that deployed, and I've got a brand new factory airbag. These are pretty simple. They usually just come out with a few bolts. You plug in the new one and you're done. Now, as far as the front end goes, that's where most of our assembly is going to be. All of the body parts are completely OEM that I've ordered for this so that they fit well. But what will not be stock is everything that we're putting under the hood. We're going to modify this car with a Mishimoto cooling system, an oil cooler, a bigger intercooler, an air intake. It should be really awesome and really cool when it is finished. The only other mod I'm currently considering is, you know, the exhaust. You guys know what sort of exhaust I like to install on my cars, but if there's anything that you guys think would fit well on our Focus RS, especially while it's all torn down, let me know in the comment section below. This very well could become my new daily driver, replacing the Fiesta ST, so I want to keep it semi-reliable, but of course, if it's a little bit quicker than factory and sounds a little bit nicer, I'm cool with that too. If you watch this channel, you know that we've got a consistent theme, and that is that we are always running into issues, but that comes with the territory. These are things that everybody experiences, not just me. And hey, we haven't had one that we haven't been able to recover from. And I'm looking forward in the next few days to warmer weather so we can nail down our paint and bodywork on the 911, really get this car finished. And if we don't get that suspension in after the bodywork is finished, well then we're going to be moving right on to the Focus RS, and we'll just kind of bounce between the two until they are both finished. I want to make a pledge to you right now, and I'm saying this so that I keep myself to the pledge, and that is, I will not be rebuilding another car until the 911 and the Focus RS are completely finished. That really gives me a goal to finish both of these cars as quick as possible. Now, when I say finished, maybe I don't mean completely painted on the Focus RS, because I do plan on probably getting that professionally done since it is such a nice new car. I want to make sure it turns out like it's brand new off the showroom lot. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this update on our rebuild projects. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. If you want to be in the loop on these rebuild updates as they happen, definitely follow me on Instagram. You can go right here. Just click the link in the description box below. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today. I'll catch you very soon.